But where do you want to start in terms of like what to talk about after that slugfest, shall we say?
Well, I'm just glad Patrick was able to get out of there healthy. With all the hits he was taking, with all the flack he was catching in the pocket. There was no pocket tonight. I got to give an immense amount of credit to the Philadelphia Eagles football team for clearly showing up with a mission to explode the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And while Steve Spagnuolo's defense did a great job containing that run game, obviously the explosive passes on the offensive side killed the Kansas City Chiefs. But really, the big killer in this game was that Philadelphia Eagles front just being absolutely dominant, down in, down out, from first down, second down, third down. Patrick never had an opportunity to get comfortable. And I hate to use the word rattled for a guy like Patrick because I don't think he was rattled. I just think everything was accelerated for him to a point in which the offense wasn't able to maintain their real identity. It was a disjointed looking offense from the very beginning, outclassed in most facets of the game there. Philadelphia Eagles, world champions, and much deserved. And for this Chiefs team, they were on a razor's edge the entire year with all their one-possession wins. They found out ways to win games. They had never really been in a game where they were just flat out getting their asses kicked. That's what happened tonight in front of the world. And, a wasted opportunity for the Chiefs, but obviously the Philadelphia Eagles, they got the game in their talons, as it were, and they never let go.
Yeah, PFF has the numbers at 18 pressures on 42 dropbacks. Doesn't really tell the whole story, though, because it was at halftime when the game was 24-0, when it was realistically over. It was 50% of his dropbacks. And there was that series. I think the game, I don't want to say was ended, but basically there's that series in the middle of the second quarter where it went sack, pick six, sack.
Yep.
That was 4 straight dropbacks. That was the result for Patrick Mahomes. 2 back-to-back series that ended. One with the pick six, one with the sack to end it on third down. That was just like, oh, wow, the Chiefs offense has no answers. They had nothing to combat what the Philadelphia Eagles and that defensive line was bringing it to the table, whether it was Josh Sweat with 2.5 sacks, whether it was Jalex Hunt with a sack, whether it was Milton Williams with 2 sacks. Their heads were spinning. Any type of time. They had that one time where they tried to have Travis Kelce block Josh Sweat and it didn't work. They just didn't have a guy who they could feel comfortable about winning their one-on-one in pass protection. And when that's the case, someone's going to lose. When you're bringing 4 every time, and that's what the Eagles did. They didn't blitz. I think PFF had them with 2 times all game. Next Gen had them with 0 times all game. We'll see who's correct in that when it's all said and done. But basically, it was the front 4 the entire game. And when you cannot pass protect the way they could not against the front 4, you're going to be rattled. I mean, you hesitated to use it. I think it's fair to use him. You saw numerous occasions where Mahomes made throws that were just un-Mahomes-like. The 4th down to Nuke Hopkins, where he puts it like on the back shoulder, way behind him, and it gets broken up by Avonte Maddox. The 2 times to Travis Kelce, past the sticks. I believe one was a 3rd down, where it's just like at his feet, behind him, not on the same page, when like that's their whole thing, is that they're always on the same page. So it's hard to say that anything other than the defensive line was the deciding factor in this game. And truthfully, this one felt a lot like the Bucs Super Bowl, right? Yeah. I think we all went back and wanted to be last year's, or the last time the Eagles played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. But this one felt like when the Chiefs had so many injuries up front and the Bucs just manhandled them, this is what it felt like.
Yeah, and to your point, across the board, there was nobody where you could say, well, at least I know for a fact that he's going to get his guy blocked. And usually as an offensive lineman, you have tendencies, and tendencies are learned quickly by your quarterback. Where you lose most of your reps dictates where the quarterback will step up into the pocket. We saw on numerous occasions Patrick Mahomes forced to step up into the pocket, which is usually a clean area for him, but that inside 3 having some trouble with the inside 2 from the Philadelphia Eagles, a combination of Joe Thuney on the left tackle side, who is usually inside out as it relates to the quarterback, making rushers go the long way. We rarely see him get put into Patrick's lap, but we saw a few instances where Joe Thuney was forklifted off the ground a little bit, Sweat winning with the power, converted to the inside rush. Patrick starts to feel that, and that's been the guy who has been really a stalwart for him in protection all year, a guy you can set your watch to. Then you start to really have doubts about the entire operation if you're Patrick Mahomes. And I don't want to put words in his mouth, but when you get into these situations as an offense, it feels like the sky's falling around you and there's really nothing you can do. And when you come with that kind of physicality and you have the strength and numbers that the Philadelphia defensive front has, there's really no answer. We can't just say, well, we got to take care of that guy, because then there's two other holes in the dam that need plugging.
Yeah.
And eventually the boat takes on too much water and it's 40-6, 40-12. And you look up at the scoreboard and say, how the hell do we get here? Well, it starts up front, Mike. We talked about it all week.
Yeah. And that Tooney matchup, I think a lot of people are asking, should they have moved him inside? It's something that I talked about earlier in the week. I don't think that all of a sudden fixed their issues. Like it was not just him, but I think the biggest thing was like, he was getting consistently walked back. And this was the first time he went against a guy in Josh Sweat and J.Alex Hunt who are pure length rushers. Like they want to just go long arm bull every time. And that's the worry when you have guys in, Josh Sweat's 34 and 5/8 inch arms. J.Alex Hunt's over 34 inches as well. He hadn't gone up against guys who really, that is all they have and are good at it. He went up against AJ Epinesa in the AFC Championship game, but he's not that caliber rusher.
Yeah.
Like he's more of a contained run defender sort of edge rusher. So this was the first time he saw it. And so he didn't have a lot of times where he lost, obviously, but he had times where his side's collapsing, right side's collapsing, interiors the one guy's free on the interior. And that's when it's just like, good night. Mahomes so good at finding holes, but there were no holes to find in that offensive line. So I'm not sure there was a fix, a magical, if we kick Tooney inside, this all of a sudden would have been right. It was just the dam was leaking from every which way.
I definitely think that it was the right decision to keep Joe Tooney at left tackle. I also think it was the right decision by Vic Fangio, Clint Hurt, the other coaches on the defensive side of the ball. I would imagine urging these rushers to test the ass of Joe Tooney and going inside. What I've preached about Joe Tooney and I've praised him for all season is having that inside-out relationship, dictating a one-way go for these edge rushers, making them go the long way around the pocket, which is why we see Patrick step up time and time again. Well, somebody got in the ear of those rushers and said, threaten upfield, convert it underneath. Let's see if he can make that happen. And there was too many times, to your point, where he was ending up in the lap of the quarterback. That's Patrick Mahomes, and the offense fizzles from there. If 15 is in trouble, sometimes he can get you out of Dodge, but when it happens down in, down out, there's really no way out of that tunnel, man.
Yeah. And if you followed along, bold predictions, the Milton Williams 2-sack bold prediction hit. He did it once all year, does it in the Super Bowl.
Unbelievable.
Eagles, pretty much every guy it's crazy that every guy for the Eagles that we kind of hyped up throughout the week shows up